Great British Manufacturing Podcast, brought to you by MTD, MFG and Jefferson.
Hello and welcome to the Great British Manufacturing Podcast. On this week's show, we will review the latest positive news from the British manufacturing sector and welcome a special guest, Curtis Bligh of Portsmouth-based Excell Metal Spinning. But before we start with the news, I would like to talk about Factory Now. New members are joining the platform every week, which has been launched to help the British manufacturing sector boost sales, collaborate and reshore. Members include specialist workholding manufacturer Tame and technology company Insphere, which specialise in development and implementation of metrology and data capture systems for manufacturers. My name is Stu Reynolds, and joining me at this time is my co-host Stuart Whitehead. Stuart, welcome.
Morning, Joe. More good stories this week, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, let's jump straight in. Britishvolt, we've talked about this at length. In fact, we've had them on the show, but the construction of their new giga plant in Northumberland, it's underway. It started.
Certainly has. So, yeah, it wouldn't be a podcast without a gigafactory, Joe. Britishvolt's construction partner, ISG, has commenced preliminary works at the power station site this week after securing planning in July. The project will be built in phases towards total by the end of 2027 onwards. Once at full capacity, the plant capability will be around 300,000 electric vehicle battery packs a year, intended primarily for the automotive industry. The £2.6 billion plant, one of the UK's largest ever industrial investments, is expected to create 3,000 direct jobs, 5,000 across.
And the next story, I would say less than 10% would have heard of the company, but over 90% of our listeners will know the product they make. Numatic, they're set to build a new factory in Somerset, but tell our viewers, about Numatic and more importantly, the product they're well known for.
Absolutely, it's gone down a storm this week on social media. So Numatic International, like you say, not many people actually know the company, but they are best known for its Henry and Hetty vacuum cleaners, which are extremely popular. They've announced plans to build a new £30 million factory set. The British manufacturers bought a 7-acre site, Hillfield Road Industrial Estate. A bit of background, Numatic was founded in 1969. It's still owned by Chris Duncan. The company employs more than 1,000 people and exports around 40% of its makes. Yeah,
they are a true British manufacturing success story, aren't they? It's nice to see they haven't been gobbled up, isn't it, by some large consortium. But the next one, a huge company, PepsiCo, they've announced £24 million investment at one of their factories here in the UK.
Yeah, very good news. So the American food and beverage giant is to invest $24 million, as you say, upgrading its factory in Lincoln, which is home of Quavers, one of Britain's most popular snacks. The investment will secure the listed building's future and see existing machinery that's replaced by new equipment, including a packaging machine. The new equipment will be installed at Lincoln in mid-next year, with initial work already underway.
Okay, Stuart, we'll take a short pause for this week's positive UK manufacturing news. There's lots more to come, so don't worry. Coming up now is our special guest, Curtis Bligh from Portsmouth-based Excell Metal Spinning. Curtis, welcome. Thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, it's all good this side of the airways. But just to start with, we like to hear a little bit about yourself, your career to date, and your current role and responsibilities at Excell.
Yeah, so really it began at Excell when I was at work experience. So it started off when I was a young teen, sort of learnt the ropes in a manufacturing environment. It wasn't until the year after I've just left school, that I was really introduced into the marketing role. It started off in social media, if anything. I was more so learning the ropes of marketing, learning how to really communicate the brand's values and what we stand for, and of course what we do. And that's always been a challenge throughout my career. I've been there 9 years, coming up to 10 years now in total. And the challenge really with metal spinning is always about educating the audience. And yeah, it's also about promoting the service at the same time. So it's almost two hats on wearing at any given time, to be the teacher, but also to be the solution for a lot of needs. But yeah, I mean, I worked there since got some school, so I went through college as well, where I learnt my business management, and then I went through to university as well, where I studied my degree in marketing. And throughout all that, I had the support of Excell, and I suppose I had quite a unique position where I learnt marketing skills from scratch with Excell, and then I was also able to apply a lot of the theory-based education that I was getting from both college and university in a real-world environment. So yeah, I was really thankful for Excell and their support. Of course, I've worked as well for in the Made in Britain organisation, and I worked there part-time whilst I was studying my degree. So I had 2 part-time jobs, and at the same time I was also writing a dissertation. So I was under pressure a lot there. But yeah, I pulled through. But again, it widened my scope and widened my understanding of the manufacturing industry, their needs, their requirements. And yeah, it's been a really interesting journey so far.
Yeah, sounds like it. 2 jobs and a dissertation. It must be a walk in the park just having a job.
It's a lot easier. I'll put it that way. I think from a dissertation, what it's given me is that skill and that speed to write blog posts. So 1,500 word blog post is like an introduction to the dissertation for me. So yeah, it's a skill worth having.
Absolutely, yeah. And just you mentioned Excell metal spinning a number of times. Can you just give us an overview of the business and where you are currently?
Yeah, so metal spinning itself. So Excell specialising obviously in the name metal spinning, and metal spinning, what that is forming axisymmetrical metal components. And in short, for those that don't know what metal spinning is, it's basically like pottery, but with metal. So we form a variety of symmetrical shapes that's cylindrical. So you think your tubes, your cones, your venturi shapes. And they're used for a wide variety of applications. So these could be sub-assembled parts for big supply chains in the aerospace, in the automotive, in the oil and gas industries. Or they could be more artisan, bespoke type design. So you could be thinking your home and kitchenware products, your outdoor fire pits, etc. So yeah, there's a wide variety of needs, and I think over the years I've been working with Excell, what it's highlighted is the need for metal spinning in supply chains, and unfortunately, it's one of those crafts where it's gone under the radar a little bit, and my job really is to really put that back on the map.
Absolutely, and fascinating background. And yeah, thanks for joining us this morning, Curtis. I love that description, pottery with metal. That's very good. There's been an awful lot going on. Anybody who follows you on social media, recent investments, expansion into business, job creation. Can you please give us an overview of what's been going on in recent times as you've been growing the business there in Portsmouth?
Yeah, so it's been quite an extraordinary moment for the past 2 years, really. I mean, we've had the pandemic, and I mean, for us, we see a slight hit in terms of our sales, but really it's been business as usual. And since the pandemic, since the first lockdown opened up, we've seen quite a few projects coming through our door, so to speak. Yeah, I mean, since the lockdown's been lifted, yeah, we've been in a very strong position, and like you say, we've just invested £250,000 into the company, and what this has opened up is additional services. So we're looking at a new complete machine shop with laser cutting, milling, turning, etc., to be able to offer that complete solution for our customers and future customers as well. But that in turn has generated 5 new jobs. So we've welcomed 3 new apprentices into the company, and we're also welcoming 2 new marketeers as well. So yeah, it's a very good time to be at Excell at the moment, and the future's looking very bright.
Really good to hear. And I know you said, I mean, I think it's fair to say a lot of the people who are in the industrial hotbeds, the Midlands, Northwest, South Yorkshire, whatever, you're in Portsmouth. Does that present its own challenges, with regards to recruiting? Or are there opportunities there because, there's fewer manufacturers in that region?
I think we're arguably in quite a good position in Portsmouth. We're located next to the key transport links, both nationally and internationally. I think travel's never been too much of an issue in terms of where we're located and supply chains across the country. We've been supplying as far north as Scotland. We've been supplying as far out as Germany. So we're in quite a good position strategically with the ports in Portsmouth and Southampton, and also the main motorways as well that go through obviously the whole of the UK. So yeah, it's not been a problem at all, and if anything, it's been I suppose it's been quite beneficial for the company as well. If you look around as well on the maps, there's multiple other metal spinning companies as well, sort of like pickpocket around the south coast. So yeah, I think the position, yeah, I'd say we're as competitive in the south as we would be in the Midlands.
No, good to hear, and nothing I can see why it would be advantageous. And going back to your probably first love, Curtis, the marketing, and like I say, distinguished 9-year career already for a young man, and the quality and content and variety of the content that you through social media is extraordinary. We've talked in the past about your video content and you in-house. Do you mind just giving an overview of what the strategy is? If people aren't familiar with your work, with the type of content that you typically put out in any given week, and also if you wouldn't mind just sharing some advice for, with other SME manufacturers that are possibly, looking to follow your lead.
Hey, thank you as well for the compliments on that. It means I'm doing my job right. But yeah, like you say, when I started from scratch, a lot of it has been experimental. I've been sort of tweaking it here and there, learning new things. I'm always learning online. So one of the recommendations I'd have for anyone that's following a similar career path to me would be to look at your HubSpots, your Hootsuite training, your Google Digital Garage. They have loads of free resources there, and that can really help people who want to pursue a career in marketing really understand the concepts of social media marketing in particular, content marketing as well. And yeah, it sort of outlines some strategies as well that you can put in place. I think what's been important for Excell really is that educational side. As I said earlier, it's been quite difficult educating people by word of mouth. When you're trying to explain the process of metal spinning, it's always hard to picture. And one of the things that we recently looked into is actually trying to find platforms where we can visually present what metal spinning is and actually give people a clearer vision into the step-by-step process behind the craft. So yeah, video has been really important for us. Using platforms like Twitter, like Instagram, where we can showcase visually what it is we actually do. And like you said, we've seen a huge success, particularly on Instagram actually. We've only been doing it really for 6 months, but one of our videos have already reached 1.4 million views, and we're averaging in the hundreds of thousands of views. And all it is a quick time-lapse videos that showcase from start to finish the metal spinning process from, like you say, sheet metal, cylindrical discs, into the actual final component. So yeah, I think if anything, all SMEs have a story to tell, and for Excell, our story is being told visually. So I think it's understanding your company's story and being able to express that through either images, videos. And I think in the industry in its entirety, we have the benefit of being able to show our craft and what we actually manufacture. Some people always go, it's boring what we do, but we initially thought that to begin with. We thought, we do this job all the time. I mean, you ask one of our metal spinners who do batches of 1,000. They're like, I don't want to see this, but yet other people do, and it was clear to see the 1.4 million views in that single video that we thought was quite a basic job, wouldn't generate as much interest, if anything, and we sort of took it on the chin really to really post it to see what would happen. And yeah, like you say, it has generated interest, and I think that's quite a big motivator for the company, for the employees to see that their job is really interesting. And I think with other manufacturers, they have the ability to show that through video and to be able to generate that interest in their company.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? I've just give you a follow, so there we are. You've got an extra follow on Instagram now. But the next one, really, let's talk about new product ranges launched for the the B2C market, the business to consumer market. What can you tell us about that, Curtis?
Yeah, so it's quite a new project actually, and it's something that we've been really thinking about since the government announced its plans of really reducing our carbon footprint as much as possible. And one of the issues that we found, particularly in our trade, was that if a customer no longer wanted a tool, basically that's the mould that the sheet metal would go over to form the components. They'd sometimes scrap it, and that would obviously be a burden on the environment. You'd also think as well about the long-term costs behind that in terms of actually creating the tooling as well. You think of the pollution that's caused. So rather than actually scrapping the tooling, we wanted to upcycle the tool and reuse it for something that's going to benefit, I suppose, the environment in the way of we're not actually going through that whole process of melting it down and etc. But also at the same time to look into another revenue stream. I think what this pandemic has done is really opened our eyes into the possibilities of what metal spinning can do, and also the dangers of not adapting to shifting environments. And so, yeah, we looked at a couple of scrapped tooling that was going for scrap, should I say, and we come up with a few products. So we've got some tooling here that we've just used to make tea trays, fire pits, herb and spice pots. So it really ranges from that, and I think we're looking into really putting a plan in place to really export that as well. There's been a huge interest for British-made goods and services abroad, so it's finding those markets and really targeting them with a whole new product range. So in itself, I mean, Excell, the B2B side of the business, is doing really well, and there's a potential for a B2C aspect of the business too. So yeah, I've got my hands full with that.
Yeah, no, it's a good idea, diversification. We've seen a lot of that during the pandemic, and no doubt that will continue as people, use their entrepreneurial tendencies. But Curtis, many thanks for coming on the podcast. It's been an education. I do follow you on most of your social media channels anyway, but like I said, I'll just give you a follow on Instagram as well. So thanks for coming on, and I hope everyone at home has learned a little bit about metal spinning, yourself, and more importantly, Excell metal spinning. Thank you.
Thank you. I really enjoyed my time here.
Stuart, that was an interesting interview from Curtis. Obviously, we've spoke with Curtis before off microphone, if you like. But like you say, not a lot of people possibly would know what metal spinning meant before today's podcast.
No, not at all. And they do, as Curtis said, that half his job is educating people, and with the quality and of the content put out, especially the videos, so they're always really well received, and really pleased to see that they're expanding and investing in Portsmouth.
Sure. Speaking of new investment, let's get back on with a few more news stories before we have to wrap up. Tribe Technology, they've opened a new factory here in the UK.
Yeah, more inward investment. So based in Perth, Australia, Tribe Technology designs, manufactures and sells autonomous drill rigs for the minerals industry. There's opened a new design and manufacturing enterprise way in County Antrim. A drilling system will be, new drilling manufactured facility will be exported to its customers in Australia and later globally. This multi-million-pound investment is expected to create around about 120 jobs.
Nice story. I wonder if it's got anything to do with the recent deal we've signed with them, but I guess we'll never know. But JCB have launched another recruitment drive, haven't they? That must be what, crikey, 5/6 of the year. It's incredible, really.
Astonishing, it really is, isn't it? So yeah, the British manufacturer is recruiting 100 new welders for its Staffordshire factories as demand for its products continues to soar. These are all permanent roles, and new recruits will be based at JCB's world headquarters, plants in Cheadle and Utah. And as you say, the news comes as demand for machines reaches highs, with most products now sold out until next year. So far this year, JCB remarkably has recruited 1,350 new shop floor employees and also handed permanent contracts to around about 1,000 agency staff. So I'm sure we'll be covering JCB on future podcasts. Incredible 9 months for the company.
Yeah, incredible. Fantastic story. This next one, I will admit, it's not a company I've come across before this week, but it's quite an exciting one. It's it's been masterminded by a 29-year-old female whilst juggling a young baby. What can you tell us about Juice Executive?
Yeah, a little bit to add what you just said. I mean, the British manufacturer Juice Executive, one of the UK's leading producers of cold-pressed juice drinks, is investing £1.1 million expanding its Chatham factory in Kent. And as you say, it's a fascinating story, really. It's run by a 29-year-old entrepreneur, Alexandra Ogor. I hope I pronounced her name correctly. This marks the second significant phase of the family-owned firm's investment in just 7 years. So, yeah, remarkable trajectory that company is on.
And the last one, Rivian. We've touched on this on previous podcasts, but I'm hoping you've got an update for us. I know there's something, some rumours flying around.
Yeah, there's a couple of the media outlets have covered this, and I think it is true. I must admit. So, reportedly, let's use that caveat. Executives from the American car maker are flying into the UK next week to assess a potential site for a giant electric car factory, which would be its first outside the US. As we've mentioned before, any investment by the California-based manufacturer is likely to exceed £1 billion. The number of jobs set to be created directly and across the supply chain are well into the thousands. So really hope this comes off. And this is the same site actually that Tesla was rumored to be looking at. So, we're not greedy. We'll take one or the other. Tesla or Rivian into Somerset would be great.
Yeah, I find it incredible, this Rivian story. Like if the UK pull this off, and no doubt they'll want government support, but it's not like a German manufacturer coming over. It's pretty much, it's fair to say, an unknown manufacturer to the UK, isn't it? So it's basically they're starting from scratch. It would be quite a feather in the cap for the UK manufacturing sector, wouldn't it?
I know, absolutely, and if they do it, I'm sure others will follow. And as we said at the beginning of the show, Joe, almost every week we're talking about electric vehicle development or new vehicles. As long as the infrastructure is there, these companies are going to be, yes, the government support. They need the infrastructure, they need the supply chain. So hopefully, some like Rivian or Tesla, or ideally both, will come to the UK and set up a plant.
Yeah, like you say, don't worry, Elon. We'll find you somewhere as well. Don't worry, there's plenty of room here on this little island. But Stu, that's all we got time for, unfortunately, this week. For people listening at home, we do not get a chance to cover all the positive UK manufacturing sector. We do like to cut this short. Please do go to the website mtdmfg.com. Also, we have an app. It's available for pretty much every smartphone, whether you're Android or Apple. Please go to your relevant app store. Big thank you to Stuart. It's been great having you on yet again. Our guest this week, Curtis Bligh of Excell Metal Spinning. But as always, the biggest thank you is for you for listening at home. We will catch you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Great British Manufacturing Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and a review. You can find us on Twitter using @MTDMFG and @Jefferson_MFG.